Cyndi, what's your look of love?
Romance has made love unrecognizable.
Okay, tell me more about that.
I think we get so caught up in looking for these grand gestures and these big moments and these heart-fluttering exchanges where we see the one on a screen and we swipe on them, or in a bar or on the train or whatever, and we're looking for this magic, which I understand.
Mm,
But that magic isn't love. That's just chemistry and chemicals. Love is what happens after you've made the connection. Love is the sustaining ability to be with somebody, to be curious
mm,
about somebody, to be interested in somebody's inner world.
mm,
And this doesn't just happen in romance. This happens in community. This is happening between you and I right now. It's happening with everybody that I was just on the train with.
mm,
It happens with my dogs. Love is all around us, but we have gotten so distracted that our focus is on looking for a partner, or looking for the one, or feeling like we are somehow missing out or defective if we don't have that singular relationship, at the exclusion of all the relationships that we do have. And I see people suffering because of that. I see people, especially women
mm.
in their 30s and 40s, really pining for this, feeling like, when am I going to find the one? And this is true for queer women and straight women. This embedded notion we have of, where is my person? Where is my soulmate? It
Right.
is so baked into us, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And I'm not saying that pursuing romance is a bad thing. It's not. But when it's at the exclusion of love, we have to look at the amount of suffering that it causes us, especially if we feel crippled by loneliness.
Mm,
So this is what I mean about this idea that we've lost our way, and we've gotten so tripped up with validation and attraction as substitutes for love,
mm.
yet we're more disconnected than ever. So much time on our phones, swiping and liking, and not enough of this.
Right. It's funny because that couldn't resonate more with me. Because I'm definitely, in my Instagram bio, the one of my things is romantic.
I saw that.
And
I
I,
saw that, and I wondered, how are we going to have this conversation? How is this going to go?
well, I think hearing you say that, for the majority of my life, and to some degree, even now still, romance does take the
Mm-hmm.
top billing
Mm-hmm.
over love.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
How does that impact your quality of life?
Oh, it runs my life. When
Well,
I
you've kind of made a career out of it.
Yeah.
So, there's an upside
Yeah.
for you
Yes,
specifically.
exactly. And I think that's why I always say that talking about love and talking about romance is the closest I feel to God, however you want to use that word.
Mm.
And I think
But it awakens something in
yeah, it
you
does. It does.
specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me feel the most alive. And I
Mhm.
think for the most part, or most of my life, I've chased it in one person, in
Mhm.
a singular
Mhm.
person. It's always been the thing that makes me keep going
Mhm.
in work,
Now I
in
want to ask you 100 questions.
asking me 100 questions.
So this one person,
Yeah.
have you found them?
You know, many times over, I think.
Mm.
That's the thing. I always say that my belief in great love has allowed me to have many great loves.
Uh-huh.
However, the minute I lose it, I lose everything.
Yeah. And do you want one, or do you want many ones?
Ideally, it would be one.
And so hanging on to that, but hanging on to that magic, because that magic it's chemical, right?
Yeah.
It's not, I feel like I'm going to burst your bubble here. I feel like I'm telling you that Santa Claus isn't real.
But I've learned that. I've learned that. I've learned that that's the thing, though, is that I've learned that it isn't just one person. Ideally, I want that. I think that that's the hardest part, is
Mhm.
letting go. Even when you've realized that it isn't the truth, it's
Yeah.
so hard to
Yeah.
let go of the thing that, quite frankly, that I've defined myself by
Right.
for my entire life.
Yeah.
More than anyone I know,
Yeah. Yeah.
more than anyone I've ever met. It's not just, oh, I hope for a great love. Every single partner I've ever had has told me, you live in a movie. You want every moment to be the movie moment.
Yeah.
You don't know how to let it go.
And I think, the interesting thing about this is that because you are so attuned to love conceptually, currently romantic love. But, you know, my curiosity for you would be that as you sort of mature into more fabulousness and more groundedness of who you are, of your essence, that love will start to find you in the most unexpected places. That it's not dependent on just the attraction and the sparkle and the fabulous, which is great. But if that starts to wear you down, I want for you to be able to grip and feel the love of your friends, of your communities, of your pets, of, you know, and the broader love that we feel like in the city at the moment. Can I talk about how fabulous Zoran is? And everybody is feeling his love.
Yeah.
This is a type of love. It's not romantic, but it's very family. Like he's like our big daddy at the moment, which is so exciting. And you can feel it in the streets. Everybody's just a little bit less pissed off. And this is what the power of love is. When we give a shit about each other, when we care about each other, when we listen to each other, it makes such a difference. And, you know, we can fucking do all the things. It's not to say that that's not great. Of course it's great. But if that's not accessible to you for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that you are bereft of love. Love, we have to expand our definition. And I think that this is critical for our emotional health, our relational health, our mental health, our social health, our political health. It touches every part of life.
Do you think the sooner that we all accept that we can receive love from all places, the sooner or closer we can get to that idyllic version of having that intimate, singular relationship with someone?
I think when we can learn to tolerate the feelings that love brings up in us, because I think for a lot of us, we project our longing to be accepted onto one person rather than thinking about ourselves perhaps as precious gems that when we turn in different lights, different parts of us show up, different colors of us show up. And so the beauty of having love from multiple sources, whether it's through polyamory or community or whatever, is that different parts of us get to shine and we get to embody different parts of us with different people. So it's not to say the version of you that shows up in love with one relationship or one structure, whether it's a family member or chosen family or otherwise, or if it's a romantic partner or a best friend. But that's not the totality of you. There are so many other parts. And so when you allow yourself to have love in multiple contexts, you get to be a much more robust being. And clearly you are a very robust being, right? You're not just a one-dimensional thing. So when we are able to tolerate showing ourselves, seeing and being seen, that I see the totality of you and you see the totality of me, and you don't have to like everything about me. I don't have to like everything about you, but can I still love you? Can I still show up for you and your partners and your friends? Can I still be that person? This is, I think, the question that love really invites us into, that romance completely overlooks. And romance is fun. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful night out. But as a life path, I fear that for a lot of people, it's unsustainable and it causes suffering.
Yeah.
And this is really sad. It doesn't need to be like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because it probably is the source of most of my suffering in this life, if not all of it, is that constant need for, that constant hunger. And it's again, the thing that makes me feel closest to this idea of God and probably the furthest from it a lot of times.
Well, you know, I mean, in romance, I don't know how much you know about the history of romance, but it's relatively new. It's only like 300 or 400 years old. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I don't.
Because before that, in European history, right, so we're looking at this very much through a Western lens, in European history, love was something that was pretty much reserved between a person, often a man, and God, that love was what you had. And then you had sex with, you know, whoever was around. You married whoever because you had to have babies, because you had to work on the farm. And if you had 15 babies, you knew that 7 of them were going to die. So that was a separate thing. Who you fucked was a separate thing. Love was for God. And then the French decided, let's just mush all of this together and have a fabulous party. And so they were the ones who invented this, you know, this romantic thing where it became about me longing for you or you longing for whoever, and and then we were still ending up having to be forced to marry whoever because of finance and land ownership and
Right.
having babies, even if we didn't want to. There was no questions about, how you identify as queer or this or that. We weren't talking about that back then. The feelings were still there, but we were really just focused on survival until about 300 or 400 years ago, when it became this thing of grand gestures and, ladies with fans and gentlemen on horses and all this stuff. And it's lovely, and it's the stuff of movies. It's the stuff of books. There's a script that is followed.
Yeah.
Somebody does a thing and somebody else does a thing, and there is this, crescendo. We all know how it ends. We get hooked on this script. I want to have that experience. And the trouble with it is that it was invented. Like, it's a relatively new thing that our ancestors, for thousands of years, we didn't live like this. And we've tricked ourselves into thinking that it's the main event, when really it's maybe an appetizer at best. At best, it's an appetizer.
I love this idea that that love, which has always been for me, it's not even just one of the courses, it's the entire meal. It's maybe an appetizer. I mean, that's I am realizing it, but it is tough and it is hard.
Yeah.
How do you think romance and love is changing now? Their relationship to each other, are growing apart, growing together? I mean, we have more than ever, there's more discussions around non-monogamy.
Yes.
More than ever, there's more discussions about getting love from multiple places.
Yes.
Do you think overall we're shifting that way? Or do you think romance is digging its heels into the ground?
I think, like in cities like this, there are a lot of people who are across it. The New York Times and all these magazines and stuff, they're running, articles about the polyamorists on the corner and all this stuff. So there is a populist movement to talking about non-monogamies, right? That is definitely happening. But that's in New York, in London, in Sydney, in big cities around the world. Is it happening in Arkansas? I don't know. Don't go there. And if anybody watching this, maybe they can comment. But wherever you have economic struggle, wherever you have strong religiosity, wherever you have heavy patriarchal norms, you're going to generally find relationship structures that are very hierarchical, that benefit men, that are not about sharing of resources and sharing of love. So until we start to really shift this, I mean, I think about, all this trad wife bullshit, and like they're not on this page at all. They're in a whole other universe, those folks. So, good luck to them, I guess, if it works, but I don't know how sustainable it is, especially because a lot of those trad wives are very young, and then one day they're not going to be young, and then what the fuck are you going to do? So, but for the rest of us, urban folk, yes, I think there is a shift, but just because we can shift intellectually doesn't mean we can shift emotionally. That's the hardest bit. Like, folks get it rationally.
Yeah.
Most people, I think, in New York can go, yeah, I get it. I just don't know if I could do it.
Right.
As opposed to the folks who do it, who have been doing it for 5, 10, 15 years, who go, yeah, it's hard, but it's not harder than monogamy. It's just a different kind of hard, because I am really invited to stretch and show versions of myself that match my values, that match my capacity to really be generous in body, mind, and spirit, and to learn how, frankly, these patriarchal structures have impacted the way I see myself, the way I see resources, the way I see love, that we are, again, romance tricks us into thinking love is a prize, and that when you win it, you must guard it because somebody will come and steal it from you, rather than we can love each other, but you can love somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. As long as you keep coming back to me, I'm okay. But if I'm like, no, I have to own you, what does that do to me, and what does that do to you, and how long can we sustain that? Maybe it'll make sex great, because there'll be a lot of friction, and that can often be very sexy, and people get confused, don't they, right? It's like, oh my God, I've got to get my hands on you. That's chemistry, that's sexual heat, very appealing, but it's not love. It's a separate thing. And so when we start to separate and parse out the love from the sex, from the desire, from the longing, from the hunger, from the, community, from the, are you going to help me pay my rent, which is the very boring aspect of relationships, but it's real,
Yeah.
right? It really ends up being a great big salad bowl in our hearts of, oof, I have to pull these bits apart, which is how people end up in couples therapy or sex therapy
Right.
or whatever kind of therapy or
Bit to
coaching,
both.
whatever stuff, because we have to work out, who am I in the world?
Mm.
Who am I in my communities? Who am I with my partners? And how do I want to show up? And most of us don't have these skills. Most of us are not taught this in childhood.
Yeah.
And even if we did grow up with queer parents or polyamorous parents or whatever, we still have to learn how we show up in those relationships, because just because we had perhaps good role models in some cases, we still have to find our own feet. We still have to find our own balance. And there's no shame in it, but it is a lot of work.
Where do you recommend someone start? Because I need to hear that, and I know other people do.
I think having conversations with people is critical.
Mm.
Talking about what does love mean? Reading books about non-monogamies, reading books, reading bell hooks all about love, I think is a great starter. There's lots and lots of different books about relationships and non-monogamies these days, and I don't want to press non-monogamy as the one true path. I think it's really good for some people. I don't think it's great for everybody. But I do think the lessons that we can learn from non-monogamies and the philosophies of non-monogamy, we're really flipping hundreds of years of social conditioning on its head. So we do need support. The work that is required of sitting with the difficult moments of, how do you tolerate feeling like you're not special? How do you tolerate sharing when everything in you has been conditioned to think that's my prize? How do you tolerate showing up for somebody when you're a little bit pissed off with them? These are the skills of love, period, especially non-monogamies. But even in conventional monogamous relationships, we still need to learn how to do this. But people think, oh, well, we're monogamous, so we don't have to do all of that. You know that I love you and that's enough. But it's not enough.
Yeah.
It has to be embodied. It has to be demonstrated through actions. And we have to learn this. You're not born, just because we're born knowing how to chew, doesn't mean we're born knowing how to cook,
Yeah. Yeah.
So in order to be in relationships, we have to learn. And even if we had fabulous upbringings, a lot of people didn't. But even for those who did, that's not a default setting to be like, well, I'm going to be good in my adult relationships. Regardless of your upbringing, you still have to learn how to be in relationship with people.
Yeah.
And this is why being in relationship with multiple people, not always romantic or sexual, just friendships, community, you get to practice showing different sides of yourself. You get to practice being invested and having someone invest in you. But it takes time. And sometimes there's a little bit of emptiness, and that can feel destabilizing. So it's not easy what I'm suggesting, but I feel like we don't have a choice.
Yeah. Okay. Why do you think we don't have a choice?
Well, because otherwise you spend your life lonely and disconnected, and that's a hell of a way to live.
Yeah.
So either you learn to love, or you live a pretty, rudimentary cardboard black and white life, which I don't think is your style.
No, not at
No,
all.
you're a full Technicolor.
Bring back Technicolor. It's so amazing because I'm thinking about this within the scope of my own relationship, my last relationship. How, I mean, all of our suffering is so rooted in, I'd say probably mainly my inability to live a more colorful kind of experience within the love.
What happens to you? You get very grippy?
Yeah, very grippy. I don't do quite well. I think it's that fear of loss. When I mean, I got quite emotional earlier when you had brought up this idea of like losing the prize. Who am I without the prize? And I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like, who am I without the prize?
Yeah.
I think I've defined myself by love, romance rather, my entire life. And I don't know who I am without it. I have not been
Mm.
without a partner or without the lust for a specific partner since I was maybe in the 6th grade.
Yeah, wow.
There has not been a single time in my life
Right.
where there wasn't a prize
Right.
in mind. As long as I can remember, I have been chasing that prize. I
Yeah.
remember being in preschool and like having my first girlfriend, and that was my entire world. I mean, I would bring roses every year to every single girl in class on Valentine's Day because I just thought it was like, I'm working towards this thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna win the prize.
Yeah. But that quality that you have of longing to connect, I don't think that is the problem.
Mm.
It's more that you limit and truncate how it gets spent that perhaps currently isn't causing you problems. But I'm curious how it might go in the future.
Oh, no, it is current.
It is. All right. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, it definitely is.
But, that part of you, because you appear, in the short time I've known you, you do appear to me to be someone who has the capacity for real love, great love, deep love, and multiple loves. But what your work sounds like it is to me is undoing the conditioning that has tricked you into thinking love is a prize rather than a skill. And because for you, it is going to take sitting with the uncomfortable question of who am I without this, which I can't answer that for you. I wish I could. And it might take you decades to come to that. But if you remember that you are a multifaceted diamond, you are not just a one-dimensional, two-dimensional thing. If you give yourself permission to be the totality of who you are across your lifetime, not by the end of the year, I think your life will be richer and more meaningful because of it. Simply because you will really grow into your skin and you will be less dependent upon winning prizes and knowing that the prize is already in you. And you can go back to sharing roses with whoever, but when you're giving those roses, it's because you're really wanting to connect rather than wanting to get approval and be chosen, that you get to do the choosing. Are you going to cry?
Perhaps.
You're allowed. It's okay.
How does one, because I'm in a relationship, how does one explore that with a partner? How do you do that while actively existing within something that has been created from romance and not necessarily from love? And how do you, I guess, convince someone else to do that with you?
Well, I don't know that you would convince them, but it would be something about, I think, having conversations about when do you feel most loved? What's your earliest memory of love? Not romance, but love. And inviting yourself to notice, how does love feel in your body? Because love for a lot of us feels quite different to desire or lust or, belonging is a type of love that we tend to associate with families and communities. It tends to not feel very sexy, right? Whereas romance type love can be infused with sexiness to a point, but that also fades after a period of time. And so, especially if you're how long have you been with your partner?
3 years.
Okay. And are you monogamous?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you two keep the sparkle alive? Like, what do they do that makes you feel loved by them?
It's interesting because even in my last relationship, spark in terms of the desire for sex or just
whatever it means to you.
Whatever it means to me. So when I hear the word spark, I mean, I think traditionally I always think about it in terms of sex for whatever reason. And I think unfortunately, after having this conversation, when I think about it, I guess sex has always been a way of getting the prize. Part of that is getting the prize. So my desire has never wavered. Even when I was with my ex, we're together for almost 10 years. And the desire to have sex never wavered for me.
Okay.
I never was less attracted. I never felt like I didn't want to have sex.
Okay.
But I think so much of that was contingent upon my need for that approval.
Yeah.
My need to know that.
So that's your motivator.
Yeah, my motivator is that you still desire me.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that is always gonna keep me
Yeah.
going. I mean, he's an incredible partner, very great, very sweet,
Mm.
very attentive.
Mhm.
But I've never needed a partner to be any of those things. I've just needed them to be in the room, and like constantly showing up in the room, no matter how they showed up.
So when you say no matter how they showed up, though, like, I mean, obviously, he sounds like somebody who takes an interest in
Yeah.
you, and he doesn't just show you love with his pants off. I
Yeah.
presume he shows you love in multiple
Always,
ways,
yeah.
right? But I mean, and if that is enriching for you and it's validating for you, then, I don't want to sort of imply that there are problems where there aren't problems.
Right.
If it feels enriching and fulfilling, then it is enriching and fulfilling. It is. But it's when that's the only way,
And it is.
this is where you are potentially in danger of losing yourself in
Yeah.
a partnership, which happens to a lot of women, especially because we are conditioned to see ourselves as a reflection of somebody else rather than who we are as independent beings.
Yeah.
And yes, we can still be in relationship and be independent at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive. But when we get lost, when we lose who we are in the face of romantic partnerships, the trouble is, while you're in the partnership, everything is okay. But if the relationship starts to crack, which, they do,
Yeah.
um, we're really in danger of slipping down into the quicksand and losing everything because we've put all of our eggs into that basket, essentially. So, with this is where we have to undo this patriarchal conditioning around our worth as women and what we are and who we are and how we show up in the world, that we are these multifaceted beings. We're not just somebody's prize, or somebody is not just our prize, that we can have more robust connections in the world that nourish multiple parts of us.
This is such a shape-shifting conversation for me
Oh, good.
about love, and I think it will be for other people.
I mean, I tend, I don't know if you see much of my stuff online, but I tend to sort of sit at the heavier end of the spectrum. I tend to not be very fluffy in many aspects of my life, although I am fucking hilarious when I'm not working. But when I am working, I tend to be, very, very grounded. But I think that balance of being kind of completely frivolous and ridiculous in my day-to-day life, in contrast with the part of me that gets to show up in work, where I get to really invite people to come down into the lion's mouth with me and go, come on, I've been down here before, so I'll hold your hand, we'll be okay. And then I'll stay down here with you. Or we'll just hang out here until our eyes adjust. And then we'll both come back up together and talk about what we found. I love doing that for people. And that's what my work is.
I love doing that with someone. Oh, it's my favorite. And I've enjoyed this time together so much. And I've enjoyed that you've done that. I mean, it was unexpected. I wasn't expecting to go. I mean, I was expecting to some capacity, but it was nice to just
not do it. It just oozes out of me.
Yeah.
Because when people are like, why do you do this job? I'm like, because I can't fucking do anything else. I'm really good at this one weird thing and not very good at much else. Well, I'm good at being a dog parent. But it's such a weird thing to be good at. And thank goodness I live in an era where I can actually cultivate a living from it. Because even, I think, 50 years ago, it would have been impossible for people to have public discussions about this stuff. The world is changing.
Yeah.
Slowly, glacial, but it is changing. And it's good for folks like us.
I agree. Well, we have you at the right time in the right moment, and I couldn't be more thankful.
We did it. We did it. Message me and we'll come and be
I
beach
will.
buddies.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait.
Mm. Yay.